Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to today's webcast entitled Become a Shareholder in iPIC Entertainment IPO. Today's conversation is brought to you by iPIC Entertainment and powered by OnStream Media. To submit a question or comment at any time during the webcast, please click on the Ask a Question button located at the bottom of your screen. Simply type your message into the box and click the Submit button. All questions will be answered at the end of today's presentation. Legal disclaimer. This presentation may include forward-looking statements to the extent that the information presented in this presentation, discussions, financial projections, information, or expectations about iPIC Entertainment Incorporated business plans, results of operations, products or markets, or otherwise make statements about future events. Such statements are forward-looking. Such forward-looking statements can be identified by the use of words such as should, may, intends, anticipates, believes, estimates, projects, forecasts, expects, plans, and proposes. Although iPIC Entertainment Incorporated believes that the expectations reflected in these forward-looking statements are based on reasonable assumptions, there are a number of risks and uncertainties that can cause actual results to differ materially from such forward-looking statements. You are urged to carefully review and consider any cautionary statements and other disclosures, including the statements made under the heading Risk Factors and elsewhere in the offering statements that we have filed with the SEC. Forward-looking statements speak only as if the date of the document in which they are contained, and iPIC Entertainment Incorporated does not undertake any duty to update any forward-looking statements except as may be required by law. The offering will be made by means of an offering circular. Our offering circular is available at www.ipic.com/invest. Information about the offering is available at www.banq.co/listings/ipic. An offering statement on Form 1A relating to these securities has been filed with the Securities Exchange Commission and has become qualified. The securities offered by iPIC Entertainment Incorporated are highly speculative. Investing in shares of common stock of iPIC Entertainment Incorporated involves significant risks. The investment is suitable only for persons who can afford to lose their entire investment. Furthermore, investors must understand that such investment could be illiquid for the indefinite period of time. No public market currently exists for the securities, and there can be no assurance that public market will develop. Additional information concerning risk factors relating to iPIC's business and industry, as well as risk factors relating to the offering, can be found at the following URL. This webpage shall not constitute an offering to sell or the solicitation of an offer to buy these securities, nor shall there be any sale of these securities in any state or jurisdiction in which such offers, solicitation, or sale will be unlawful prior to registration or qualification under the securities laws of any such state or jurisdiction. We now welcome Hamid Hashimi, founder and CEO of iPIC Entertainment. Hamid, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Kat. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. It's really a pleasure to share the iPIC story with you. I have here with me Paul Westra, our Chief Financial Officer, and Sherry Yard, our Chief Operating Officer, who will help me walk you through this presentation. Just really quick, for those of you who haven't been to the theaters, to one of our theaters, what is iPIC? iPIC is truly a 4-hour entertainment experience that combines the two most common forms of entertainment, which is dining and going to the movies under one roof. We pioneered the concept. It's an affordable luxury, and we lead the industry in innovation. We have 16 locations with 121 screens around the country. And our revenue for 2016 was $124.8 million with a store-level EBITDA of 15.2. We currently have 1.8 million loyal members. We have a proven track record of successfully building locations around the country, and we have a great target unit economics, and positive macroeconomics, which we will talk about in a few minutes. And most importantly, we have an experienced management team. It's a team that has been in hospitality business from all walks of life and can deliver and execute an experience that's far superior to anything else in the marketplace. And for those of you who haven't been to one of our theaters, there's a quick video that we'd like to share with you. Kat, can you run that video, please?
You may continue.
Right, so basically, as you saw, this is truly an experiential environment that allows our guests to spend about 4.5 hours. It's a social destination where people get to meet their friends, watch a movie, or just go to the restaurant. And at the end of the day, it's very affordable. Our ticket prices are higher than your average theater, but by the time you add all the perks and benefits that you have, we're marginally or incrementally more than a traditional theater. However, you get a lot more value for your dollar spent. When you look at the competitive landscape out there for out-of-home entertainment experiences, which we compete against, your choices are basically, whether it's restaurant or other theaters, none of them really deliver at the level that we do. We are a consumer brand. We're very affordable. It's a very high-quality food and beverage experience. Our spaces are designed to hold corporate events, live events, hold weddings, bar mitzvahs, you name it. It's a great social destination that you can meet with your friends or have a group event. Looking at again, from a competitive landscape, looking at this chart, you'll see to the left are your traditional theaters, and to the right are the dining theater concepts. The dining theater concept is the concept that we pioneered, and we are, and other people over the last few years have been kind of doing different iterations of it. Today, nobody really executes at the level that we do, from a culinary standpoint, from innovation, from the comfort and luxuries, while others are replicating the concept, but none delivers at the level that we do. Our unit economic, basically 52% of our revenue comes from food and beverage, as compared to 31% for a traditional theater. And box office represents about 46% of our revenue, as opposed to 64%. However, in that 46%, that includes filmed entertainment, as well as live performance, gaming events, and many other ways that we generate revenue from our auditorium. So if you looked at it purely from a theatrical box office or filmed entertainment, it's at 31% versus 64%. Now, while box office is a smaller portion of our revenue, it doesn't mean that we do less than other theaters that are out there. Oops, we jumped one too many. I'm sorry. So from a culinary side of our business, when we started this concept, the initial thrust was to focus on the mixology side of it. And I was fortunate to come across Adam Seeger, who was rated the third best mixologist in the country, working for Let Us Entertain You in Chicago. He came on board, and again, the first thing that we did was, offering really great cocktails in our theaters. Next step for us was really focus on the culinary side of it, and to that end, actually Adam introduced me to Sherry Yard, who at the time, she had just left, this is about 5 years ago, she had just left Wolfgang Puck after a 20-year career with Puck, opening 32 restaurants around the world. Sherry is an incredible talent. It's a great leader. She opened 32 restaurants for Wolfgang Puck and been with us full-time for the last 4 years. And she's been spearheading everything that we do, from hospitality, from the menu design, kitchen design, the thematic elements of all the restaurants. We're very fortunate to have her with us. And with that, I'll turn it over to Sherry.
Great. Thank you so much, Hamid. I always say, come for the food and then stay for the movie. When Hamid approached me over 5 years ago at this point, for me it was all about excellence. It was important that with my background, I worked in fine dining for last 30 some odd years, that we bring that to the vision. And from there, I approached it and said, how are we going to do this with dining in the dark? And how could I do it in a way where we'd really hit that excellence level? I called my friend Danny Meyer. He said to me, you know what, Sherry, I made my biggest impact with a Shake Shack in the middle of a park, and you should go for it. So I did. I approached the dining in the dark from a chef's perspective. It's Monday night. I like to go out to eat, so do my friends. We bring my friends on, and we put on menu items that you just don't see in your cinema. Everything from tempura beans to tuna and crispy rice. We have a lot of fun. Next slide. There you go. There we go. And so, as you can see, if you look at our menus, you'll see just very creative food. Most important is that it's our average spend is over $18 per person. There we go. After taking up the dining in the dark, now it was time for the restaurants. Starting with the tuck room, it's our gastro lounge. I call it serious food with a touch of whimsy. It means to eat with enthusiasm or pleasure, to be hidden away, snug and comfortable. Shareable foods. Markets for the tuck rooms are more cosmopolitan cities: Houston, Los Angeles, New York, and Miami. Average check there is over $33. Followed up by Tansy. We most recently changed the menus at Tansy's to reflect a little more garden-fresh pastas and added a steak section there. Our average spend is over $36. And last but not least, my baby, City Perch Kitchen and Bar. This is an American dining table for families, for sharing, all very social concepts, over $41 spends on those. As you can see, compared to your casual polished concepts, we're really top of the market there with over 35%, 36%, yeah, $36. Next.
All right, we're having a little problem with the slides not advancing.
There we go.
There you go.
And to compare it to your simple, our competitors with a bag of popcorn, a bucket of popcorn, and some soda at $4 and change, compared to our average spend at $18.45. Even dining in at AMC is only $8.45 compared again to our $18.45, and a total spend overall for restaurants and theaters over $24. And to me, what's a highlight for us is that our guests really love us. We have a loyalty and brand. 85% of our guests that come and dine with us and come to the movies really enjoy and recommend it to their friends, and we have Yelp reviews over 4.2. And back to you, Hamid.
Yes. So we talked about box office. Well, box office in total is about 46% of our revenue, and filmed entertainment is about 31%. as compared to 64% for the industry, it doesn't mean that we do less in box office than any other company out there. Looking at this chart, if you look to the right, you'll see the three generations of theaters that we have. So I'll explain to you what the three generations are. When we first started out in the business, it was really more about, theatrical experience and having, great food and beverage in the auditorium. The lobbies of the theaters had typically a bar, but there was no separate restaurant. After the first 6 locations, we started adding restaurants, and it really made sense because we learned that our guests are coming in early and earlier, or staying after the movies. And, given that we already have a kitchen, we already have the management team, it makes sense to just add more square footage to the front and create an independent restaurant brands that people can come and enjoy a different menu rather than what you find in the auditorium. So the generation 2 are theaters that have restaurants, a separate restaurant attached to them. And as you can see, our revenue per screen jumped from $830,000 to about $1.3. And the very latest generation, which has our pod seating and our restaurants are tweaked and fine-tuned, our revenue per screen has jumped to $1.6 million, as opposed to industry average of $500,000. So, again, while when you look at this chart also, the purple part is the box office revenue. Box office revenue, again, while auditoriums are smaller and less seats in them, on a revenue per screen basis, it still outshines everybody else in the industry. This is an example of how we continue to innovate. We never stop. This is a pod seating that we patented, designed these theaters about 2 years ago. These seats you find in the last 4 locations that we opened up. You never walk in front of our guests. It just, this arrangement, this pod seating really allows you to have truly an intimate experience in a shared environment. When you recline your seats, you can't see anyone, and you won't be able to see anybody else. So it's really like flying in a private jet, watching a movie. Our average ticket price as compared to the industry is nearly double. Industry being just shy of $9, we run about $20 on our average ticket price, and our food and beverage spend on the theatrical side is about $24.21 as opposed to close to $5 for the industry. So basically, at any level that you look at, from a per screen basis, per person spend, we far exceed what the industry does. Really important, again, the reviews and, the likelihood of recommendation by our guests. About 85% of our guests are loyal members that recommend the experience to their friends, and they keep coming back. I encourage you to really go online and read some of these stats. Now, last year, we heard a lot about the end of the theater business. September, October, the industry was down about 10%. And, every headline that you read was, this is the end of the theater business because Netflix and Hulu, people are staying home watching movies. Well, that's not the case. I mean, I entered in this business in 1984 when I bought a 3-screen theater, and I did it because this is at the time that Blockbuster was rolling out. At that time, again, there was a lot of talk about, VCRs, and Blockbuster is going to put theaters out of business. Then came 500 channels of television. Then came DVDs, and now it's high-speed internet. In the same period, the chart that you're looking at, this is the growth of the box office. Every few years there's talks about how some other new delivery technology is going to put the theaters out of business. But the reality is this business has been around for over 100 years. If there was anything that was going to disrupt the theatrical exhibition, it would have been invention of television itself. Before we had television, the only way you could watch a movie was going to the theaters. And if, again, there was anything that would have stopped people from going to the theaters, would have been television itself. But the reality is people still want to go out. We are social creatures. We like to go out with other people. And theaters are no different than any other form of out-of-home entertainment experience. Just because you have a kitchen in your house doesn't stop you from going out to the restaurants. Movies are the same thing. The reason you go to a restaurant is you want to be with your friends. You want to go for a really great, memorable experience. And as long as we can do the same thing, people are going to continue to come back. Again, September, October of last year, there was a lot of talk about how the industry was down, but this is a business that's really film dependent. At the end of the day, one picture like Star Wars completely changed the outcome of last year. Last year ended up being only about 3% below previous year, which was a record high. If Star Wars had opened up in January, it would have made a big difference in 1 year's numbers. But in reality, this is a business you got to look at it over a long period of time. You can't judge it by 1 week, 1 quarter, or by 1 month. Again, from the previous chart that you saw, this business has continued to grow, but there are very frequently when you read the headlines for a quarter or a month, you hear that the business is up or down 10% or 4%, and this business is not going to be around. But the reality is it's been around for over 100 years, and it will continue to be around into the foreseeable future. In addition to theatrical box office, there are other sources of revenue for us. It really breaks down into 3 categories. We look at branded partnerships, alternative content, and membership. Alternative content is basically live programming, Netflix. We show a lot of content other than just film box office. 2 years ago, we approached Netflix. We said, why, the experience is so superior that, while people can watch a movie at home, they still want to go out. Why not show Netflix product in there? So we formed an alliance with Netflix, entered into a contract, very successful contract. It allows us to showcase their film product on our screens. And while people can watch those movies at home at no charge, they still come out to our theater, which proves the concept that, again, people want to get out of the home. They want to go and socialize with other people. And comedy is always funnier when you watch it with a group of people and vice versa. So we did about 500 gaming events in our theaters last year. In November of last year, we started looking at live performance. We started magic shows and music shows, and we sold out about 30 shows in November and December. And this year, right now, we have 300 live programs that we'll be showcasing in our theater. We believe this is another form of entertainment that the ability to bring it to the neighborhoods is much appreciated. Every show that we've had has been sold out. We just put a series of shows on sale in New York, and the next 3 weeks are already sold out. In addition to that, membership we'll touch on in a few minutes, but we produce another source of revenue is a branded partnership. We produce a 20-minute show that airs before the movies. That program has content in it that are sponsored by one of the major brands. There are two pieces in it. One is the culinary piece that Sherry brings, celebrity chefs that you're accustomed to seeing on programs like Food Network. They create a menu item that gets featured on our menu, and if it's popular, they'll make it to our menu on a full-time basis. So the other contents that are within this 20-minute show, the iPIC Live show, is a luxury brand. That's basically sponsored by one of the, whether it's Louis Vuitton or Cartier or Burberry, that showcases product that they're involved in. Kat, can you run that video really quick, please? Great. So membership, we currently have 1.8 million members. There are different levels of membership. The base level is no charge. And then the paid membership level starts at $29, which is a gold level. With the paid membership, you have access to buying tickets ahead of the tickets becoming available to the general public, and you start earning points for food and beverage, and you can redeem your points for both purposes. And as you earn more points and you frequent the theater more often, your ability to earn, points at a multiple increases, and you get a free ticket, on your birthday. And again, there are invitations to wine tasting. There's screenings that are in advance of being available to the general public that you'll be attend to. Today, we operate 16 locations across the country, from Los Angeles to New York to South Florida, Texas, and Illinois. We have 4 locations under construction. We have another 16 sites that are in various stages of development, whether they're signed leases or letter of intent signed. We believe there's room to build about 200 of these units around the country. Our typical unit costs about $17.5 to $19 million. That's including the leasehold improvement, furniture and fixture, and soft costs. Typically, when we enter into a lease, landlord funds about $6.5 to $7.5 million of our construction, which leaves us with an investment on a per box of $11 to $12 million. Our typical unit rounds up over a 3-year period to about $14 to $15 million in revenue, with a cash flow of about $2.5 to $3 million, which generates a 20% plus cash-on-cash return on our investment. The chart on the left, on the top, is our revenue per screen. This is independent of the opening of new location. As you look at that slide, in 2011, our units produced about $640,000 per screen. But today, through organic growth, whether it being the live performance or enhancing the food and beverage, the same screens are generating $1.2 million, over $1.2 million. That has come as, again, we've improved our culinary side. We've added, whether it's gaming or live performance, it's taking literally the same box and generating more and more revenue from it. On the bottom, you're looking at our spend per person over the same period of time. Our average spend per person between food and beverage combined was about $38, and today it's about $44. Again, it breaks down, about a little over $19 for box office and $18 for food and beverage in 2011, and today it's about $20 for box office, and food and beverage has grown to about, a little over $24. In the same period, the chart on the top right shows attendance growth. We've grown our attendance, and that's basically come again, by alternative content and addition of new locations. And with that, I will turn it to Paul to share a little bit about his background and the macro side of our industry.
Thank you, Hamid. Yeah, Paul Wester here. I'm the Chief Financial Officer. I joined iPIC really to be part of a great growth company. I had formerly been an equity research analyst, taking a lot of great companies public, and I really wanted to join what I believe was going to be the next great growth story within the restaurant sector. And my part of the presentation will explain some of the reasons why we, the management team, believe that iPIC has such a significant growth opportunity ahead of itself, which we believe is driven by the combination of the concept's unique market positioning and this new age business model, which together combine to help create competitive advantage. As far as the concept's consumer positioning is concerned, we view iPIC as really being in the 1 + 1 + 1 = 4 business, meaning where our iPIC's 40,000 square foot facilities combine a polished casual restaurant with a farm glass lounge, with a world-class luxury theater like no other in the world, which all come together to create a one-of-a-kind, all-night-out, 4-hour-plus consumer experience, all under one roof. And it's that all-under-one-roof part that is the critical consumer proposition, because we believe that the vast majority of Americans that go out to a movie also go out to eat at a restaurant that same evening. In our one-stop shopping facilities, we relieve customers of the 30-minute hassle of having to close out at one place, get in their cars or another Uber ride, and get reestablished at another venue just to enjoy the second half of their evening. In fact, we would not be surprised that in 10 years from now, kids will be telling their parents, "I cannot believe you had to go to 2 different places every time you just wanted to go out for the evening." And we're excited today because we think there's a demand shift underway towards one-stop shopping entertainment brands. And if there is a shift underway, we believe it creates a big growth opportunity for new entrants like ourselves. Now, the opportunity is potentially big because the U.S. restaurant business we compete in is $260 billion in size, such that our 200-unit domestic growth goal would represent a somewhat modest 1% market share goal. But the reality is competing in a big market by itself doesn't create necessarily the opportunity. Instead, we believe that the iPIC growth opportunity is really created by the composition of demand within the U.S. full-service restaurant industry that we believe makes it exploitable by new entrants. More specifically, we believe that the dine-out dinner business in America is not really one business, but is instead 2 unique businesses. Because we believe that the primary reasons that about half of Americans who show up at a full-service restaurant every day are there primarily because they don't want to cook, and the other half are there to have fun. And we believe this dynamic enables brand new concepts to achieve competitive advantage by developing their concepts from the ground up to focus on just one of these 2 occasions. Now, the first market to develop brand new concepts to exploit this opportunity was really the quick casual space that started some 20 years ago, with leading brand concepts such as Panera Bread Company and Chipotle, which essentially shrunk their facilities in half to 3,000 square feet, got rid of the servers, and enabled diners who just didn't want to cook to get out faster and cheaper. And there was little the existing 6,000 square foot full-service restaurant players could do about it, which we believe was a key advantage that enabled the category to grow to a $35 billion business over the past 2 decades. And frankly, we see our entertainment position as really just the other side of the coin, where new entertainment brands like ourselves and Topgolf, along with the founding brand Dave & Buster's, offer guest facilities that are 5 to 10 times the size of a normal restaurant. And similar to the quick casual value proposition, we give back consumers their 30-plus minutes and hassle of having to go to 2 different places to enjoy their evening out. Now, we think it certainly took longer for the supply and demand alchemy to come together in such a way to create the entertainment economic model to become more viable. But we ultimately like what we're seeing within the performance of similar entertainment brands to us that just might be showing there's a shift going on, a $260 billion demand toward one-night stop brands like ourselves. Where specifically, the market has seen a rather significant rise in per-store profits at Dave & Buster's since 2010. We like that Topgolf has emerged as one of America's fastest-growing retail brands. And lastly, in addition to being excited about our market positioning, we also like the fact that we have a new-age business model as well, which is membership-based, where iPIC derives a significant 45% of its revenues from our members, which is substantially higher than even the world-class membership-based brands like Starbucks and Domino's. Because we believe that these revenue streams generally tend to be more stickier and more consistent, and it also enables us to market one-on-one to our best customers, which at the end of the day, we believe enables us to grow revenues from members at a faster pace than non-members. Now, it's not just the quantity of our membership base that excites us, but it's also the quality of our members. Where the average household income of our members is $119,000, and for the most frequent members, our average household income is an amazing $153,000. Which enables us to, among other things, drive a meaningful portion of revenues from very high-margin co-branding and sponsorship efforts that Hamid had mentioned earlier. And we believe this market positioning and business models have combined to attract a world-class investor base over the past 10 years, has invested or committed almost $300 million of equity and debt, including most recently from Regal Cinemas, one of the largest exhibition companies in America, and from PVR Cinemas, which is India's largest exhibition company, who together over the past 12 months have combined to purchase almost 10% of iPIC stock at a price of $18.13 a share, and we would mention that Regal has committed to invest an additional $2.5 million at the same price of $18.13 a share at the close of the IPO to, among other things, keep its position undiluted. If you and the webinar are interested to learn more about our IPO, we advise you to access our offering circular online at www.ipic.com and or to access the bank website, banq.com, as well, or contact one of our selling agents, again, TriPoint Global Equities, Roth Capital Partners, and Telsey Advisory Group. And with those comments over, I'll now hand it over to Hamid for closing comments and to take questions.
So, in summary, we believe we have the management team to execute an incredible business plan. We are the anchor tenant of choice for any project that's being developed today in this country, more specifically lifestyle centers, which positions us and allows us to grow at the pace that we're forecasting. We have solid financial performance. We have great sponsorship team and partners, and believe there's capacity to build about 200 of these sites around the country. And with that, we conclude our presentation, and we'll go to Q&As. We have questions here that I encourage you to email us your questions, and I'm going to go through these and respond to them one by one. First one, what will the initial price be? The offering is priced at $18.50. How much is the IPO? Same question. I believe the question from Chris Williamson. We're raising $40 million in total capital at a share price of $18.50. Question from Jenna Reddick. What is projected opening cost? Again, the typical unit cost, total cost is about $17 to $19 million. Company cost after tenant build out is about $10 to $12 million. We finance that with 20% of equity and 80% debt. We have a line of credit with Retirement System of Alabama that funds our debt. Question from George Julian. How were your revenues affected as a result of a 2008 credit crunch? How long did it take to recover? Interestingly enough, the very first theater of this generation that I opened, it opened in 2007. I can tell you that this business is very much recession-proof. The chart that I shared with you, that you should be able to access it later on, which shows the growth of the theatrical box office, you will find that over the last 30 years, theatrical box office has always grown at the recessionary times. This is a business that when the economy is not good, there are two things people do. They either drink more or they look for escape. And theaters are really an escapism. It's a form of escapism, and attendance has grown. In that period of 2007 to 2010, the unit that we had open continued to grow at a double-digit on a top line while the economy was recovering. Question from Sheila Pananan, and this I defer to Kat. Question from Ben Fitzpatrick. What can you share about what growth rates have looked like for existing Gen 1, 2, 3 locations since they've been open? I think one of the slides that we shared with you earlier, it showed the growth on a per-screen basis. Typically, when we open a location, there's about a 3-year ramp-up. We continue to grow in the first 3 years because there's an adoption rate, and after that, we fluctuate with performance of box office. Our restaurants are more independent of box office. There are a lot of guests that go to the restaurant without even going to the movies. So, we're fortunate enough that over the last, if you look at since 2011, we've continued to grow on a same-store basis. We've had some units that have not grown positively in some of those years, but it's been a result of market conditions or movies. Question from Gordon McMean. Do you expect going forward that we will continue to see current Gen 3 level revenues per screen? What is expected number of screens per new build? Our model is really about doing 6 to 8 screens. We're not deviating from that. We found success with that number of screens because frankly, you don't have to play every picture. When you have a 20 or 24 screen theater, you have to play every picture that comes out to fill up your screen. We're more selective about the quality of the pictures that we show, and the content that we show, we're actually looking at each one of our sites, converting one auditorium to live performance. Currently, as we do live performance, we're setting up stage. We rent a lot of equipment, but there's work in progress right now to convert one auditorium to live format. And our revenue, we expect them all, from a concept standpoint, they'll all be Gen 3 locations. And, we hope to continue to perform as good as we have in the past going forward. Question from Maria Rosario. When will the public offering end? The company plans to be listed on February 1. January 29th is, I believe, the last date for making an investment.
Funds have to be committed by next Monday.
Yeah, funds have to be, right. Okay, Sherry, this question is for you. Is there a goal to create a full restaurant at each iPIC location? What is the minimum goal for spend per person?
Full restaurant.
Is there a goal to create a full restaurant at each location?
Yes. The idea is that at every location there is only one singular concept, such as the City Perch, the Tansies, or the Chuck Room. And the minimum goal would be ranges between $30 and $40 spend.
A question by Andrew Fox. How many drinks does the average customer order, and what is the total dollar per individual? We don't really break it down on a per drink. We can, as we shared with you, average spend in our theaters is about $24, and drinks represent about 35% of that number. It's really more about dollars versus number of drinks. Rebecca Best, considering the market changing today in reference to food preferences, how do you accommodate vegan? Are there plant-based options?
Yes, as a matter of fact, we just recently put an entire vegetarian menu on the top left of our in-cinema, as well as in the restaurants as well.
Where's next? Oh, sorry. What were the places we can go to participate in the IPO? Website, firm. What was the IPO price?
Well, to participate in the IPO, please go to our website at www.ipic.com or to www.bank/invest, and then bank as well, banq.com. The IPO price will be $18.50 a share.
What percent growth have you had from year to year since you have first opened up? Our growth rate since 2001 has been about 26% compounded. Question by Gary Steele. With the growth in new location, will there be growth in the technology on the theater side, meaning updated screens or projectors? We are always looking at new innovations. We will deploy technology that we can use in all locations. By that, I mean I'm referring to technologies. We get frequently asked questions about, would you do an IMAX screen or a large format screen? For us, it's all about consistency and giving you the same experience, whether it's the opening week of a picture versus the 6th week of a picture. Most of the time, what you find, companies that are, more technology focused and have other formats in their theaters, that's really limited to one auditorium. So you have to get to the opening week of a picture if it's playing in that auditorium to see it. Again, for us, it's about being consistent. Having said that, we're always looking at the upcoming technologies that would enhance the on-screen experience. We're looking at LED projectors that are coming out by Samsung and Sony, and new sound formats as well, sound systems. And at the point where we can deploy to all our locations, we'll certainly be most likely the first ones to implement those systems. Question by Kevin Wright: do you own each unit 100% or partner with local developers? We are typically we lease our spaces. We own all of our locations. On occasions, we've looked at partnering with a developer on the business side of it, but today all of our locations are owned 100% by us and leased from a developer. A question by Jim Weinstein. Please explain how decide the breakdown of the cheap seats with the premium waiter service. When I go to see a movie near Austin Theater, it seems as though the premium seats are almost always sold out, but the other seats are mostly empty. It's a good question. Actually, I'll give you the start of our business. When we started this business, this model didn't exist. In 2007, when we opened the first one, everybody, including myself in my former life, we were building 20 and 24 screen theaters. Here we're coming and saying, we're going to build a theater, we're going to charge more, we're going to have this great food in it. So we weren't confident about how many people are willing to pay a higher ticket price and enjoy the Premium Plus seat. So we've built into our model premium seats, which are still very comfortable seats, the same width and same leather in a different color as our Premium Plus seats. However, there's no service to it. Those seats were really built to really encourage and entice the guest that was going to a theater down the street. Instead of going somewhere else, just come here, get much better experience, but at a very comparable price. That was the genesis of the premium seats. And initially, in Generation 1 theaters, we had more of the premium seats than the Generation 2 and 3. The theater that you're referring to in Austin is a good example of it. Actually, Austin will be reseated this year, and the arrangement will be changed. In Austin, about 40% are Premium Plus seats. On a reseating of our Gen 1 theaters, that model is changing to 65% in Premium Plus seats and about 35% premium seats. And what you're also going to find when we change the premium seats, the new generation, they're chaise lounges that we patented, very different than what you have. They're very comfortable, so you'll still have a much better, superior experience. So you basically will have like 2 rows of the premium seats versus right now in Austin there's 5 rows of premium seats, and the balance will be premium plus seats. We found that as long as we deliver on an experience and the quality, people don't hesitate to choose the premium plus seats versus the premium seats. So going forward, again, that was the evolution of Generation 2 and Generation 3, and now reseating the Generation 1 theaters. A question: I know the various existing locations of iPIC today. Where are some of the new sites planned? What markets and demographics are you targeting? We have sites under construction right now in Delray Beach, Florida, in Norwalk, Connecticut. Our second site in Dallas. We have sites in Fort. into any given market, we're looking for areas that have a lot of office space around us, and very frequently we're in lifestyle centers that do have an office component. Monica Rhodes, is there a minimum investment? I believe the
25 shares.
The minimum investment is 25 shares. Miguel Pavan, would you consider adding forms of cryptocurrency as a form of payment processing to increase 2018 revenue? Currently not on the plans, but we're looking at it, and once we're comfortable with it and it becomes more mainstream, I'm sure that will become an option at our theaters as well.
There's been a couple of questions about the bank website. Again, the bank website is www.bank, which is banq.co. It's not .com. I apologize from earlier. There's a question about how much of the company will be selling during the IPO. It equates to just under 20% of the outstanding stock after the $40 million raise.
Question by Shannon Campbell. Is there a plan for conference room on-site for rental? Frankly, we do have conference room on site, but what we found most attractive to people that rent our theaters is that you can have the same conference in our theaters. All of our theaters are connected digitally. You can conduct a meeting in one location and broadcast it to all other locations. And people in other parts of the country can actively ask questions and hear the responses and view it on the screen. We use that operation also for director screenings. We do those frequently in our theaters where the broadcasts, they're from LA or New York. The producers often of the movie or the cast are taking Q&A after a show, and it's broadcasted nationally, and audiences participate. So the same setup, we use them for corporate events as well.
Green
screen. Question by Robert Alvarez. Would you be about to co-brand with film festivals or host Oscar screenings at theaters? We actually do quite a bit of Academy Award screenings in our theaters in New York and LA. I mean, those are pretty much, I would say a good bit of the screenings in LA are taking place in our theaters. Some of the other locations, it really depends on the studios whether they want to do screenings in other parts of the country, and if there is, often we're the theater of choice. As far as partnering with film festivals, we have limited number of screens and limited number of seats, and we've looked at it. We've done programs with Tribeca Film Festival. We are not the exclusive home to any particular film festival, but we certainly participate in the film festival in the markets that we operate. And question, Steve Stewart, when will the iPIC debut on NASDAQ? First day of trading is February 1st.
A reminder, though, the last day you can commit funds and fund your account at bank will be on Monday, the 22nd. So a week from yesterday will be the last and final day to commit to purchasing shares. There's some questions about plans and costs about renovations. We plan to do at least 3 and as many as 5 renovations this year, including Dallas, Scottsdale, Pasadena, and Redmond.
Question by Larry Wheeler. How do we track our investment stock price? It's really no different than any other stock. The ticker will be iPIC, and you can track it like any other stock on NASDAQ or NYSE. Question from Cristobal Funes. I'm sorry if I don't pronounce your name correctly. I'm from Delray Beach. Are you worried having 2 locations so close in proximity will keep both from full potential? No, we don't. We done a lot of studies on the market. Our location in Boca Raton runs pretty much at full capacity at nighttime, and because of our membership base, we know where our guests are coming from. There's a good bit of population north of Delray that are currently, because of traffic, they do come, but they come occasionally, that they would like to go watch a movie in an environment such as an iPIC more frequently than they do right now. So we believe there's an entire population base to the west and north of the market that will enjoy coming to the Delray location and will not be dilutive to the volume that we do in our Boca site.
And your question relates to some others that asked us about growing market share. It may sound counterintuitive, but it's our belief that as you penetrate a market with more units, the average per-store revenues and profits rise as you get more penetrated. You become more conveniently located to more customers near your office, near your home, and our units act as billboards, and our brand name gets out. So as we grow membership and units within a market, we expect the entire market to lift, profitability to increase. That's what we've seen, or I've seen in 20 years of my career following the restaurant business, watching other growth companies rise per-store profits as they enter markets.
A question by Mitch Einhorn. Will there be a plan for a dividend to investors? Not at this time. The capital we're raising is all used for growth capital, and the plan is to continue to grow the business. Any profits in the company will be used for that purpose. Question by Will Williams. Sorry, I joined a little bit late. Being the leader in the movie entertainment, what are your plans on continuing to be a leader since lots of movie theaters now does what iPIC started? Great question. I mean, this is a concept that we pioneered. I don't want to say we perfected it because nothing is ever perfect. We continue to improve on it. We continue to innovate. Just looking at what we do, we're always evaluating our business, evaluating our box, designing new seats. We designed and patented, pods and new seating for our Premium Plus seats about 2 years ago. The last 4 locations we opened up have those seats. We're going back and retrofitting some of the existing ones with those seats. Today, it's really, aside from the technology side and comfort and convenience that we're always looking at, it's really more about content. Our goal going forward is to turn these locations into a place that goes far beyond just film entertainment. To that end, we've done gaming events. We did about 500 gaming events at our theaters. The live performance, the big thrust of our business. Today, these locations our goal is to turn these locations into that local performing theater that you can go, whether it's watch a comedy show or watch a magic show or watch a music show. So it's really about other forms of entertainment than anything else. Film entertainment, others are doing it, while there's, different levels of it, nobody executes it at the level we do. I mean, we're purpose-built. A lot of what you're seeing in the marketplace are companies that are converting their existing theaters. And when you convert something, it's never really as good as what it, as a product that's been built from ground up to be what it is. I always use Tesla as a good example. If you're driving an electric car, there's nothing like a Tesla. I mean, that's a car that was built and designed from ground up to be what it is. And when you look at all the hybrids, they never really live up to expectation because that's not how they were built. They're always a second best or a third best. Our theaters were built from ground up to be what they are. They are built to be a nighttime destination. You never see anything in our theaters that frankly resembles a traditional theater. I mean, you walk in there, you don't see a poster case, you don't see the name of the movies all over the place. And, they're designed to be an out-of-home, really great, affordable luxury experience.
There's a question from Jason Tarabay asking us about the possibility of expanding outside the U.S. Our current growth model does not contemplate growing outside of the U.S. for this foreseeable future, but we do believe our concept does have an international growth opportunity eventually. And as we mentioned earlier in the presentation, we do have an international investor, PVR Cinemas, which is the largest exhibitor in India, owns a percentage of our company, and their chairman is going to be on our board of directors. So while we'll think about it, it's not in our current plans.
Frankly, there's plenty of opportunity to grow in this country as we see it, and going outside of the country later down the line is more feasible than today, given the resources that we have. Question by Mitch Einhorn again. How long will it take to get to 200 units? Our current business plan is to build 4 sites a year. That's that's how this business plan was put together. At some point in the future, we look to accelerating that pace as we build our management team over the years. Question about could you address the impact that MoviePass will have on your business? Excuse me. Frankly, I don't think MoviePass will have any impact on our business. MoviePass, while it's attracting membership today, it's really a fixed price at a $10, and our admission prices are higher. We don't accept MoviePass because, if they want to pay us what we charge for a normal ticket price, we'll do it. But, today, whether it's us or anybody else, that's the business model. They pay full ticket price. Frankly, there's a lot of questions about viability of the business model. And, we're about a higher, superior experience rather than a commodity experience. Marshall Adams, what made you want to go public? Frankly, going public is another way of raising capital. This company we've raised, over the last few years, we've raised $75 million of equity from some of the leading exhibitors in the world, from Village Roadshow to Regal Cinemas to PVR and some other firms, and as well as Retirement System of Alabama. For us, the next step was, how do you access the capital market, and how do you also, we got asked so many times by our members now, how do we participate, can we invest in it? We found being public it's another way of rewarding our guests and our members and allowing them to participate in the growth of the company.
And ultimately, the raise here helps us to fund our growth for the next 3+ years. Again, our belief is that this positioning, since we're new, will be a significant first mover advantage and potentially a winner-take-most market share game. We believe if we can get established first in the larger metro cities with a significant membership base, if someone wanted to come in behind us, they would have to not only compete with us directly unit to unit, but we'd also have locked up significant percentage of the potential members that would already be our members. So again, we want to get to market first, and we think a public offering helps us achieve that goal.
Yeah, and just to add to what Paul just mentioned, today when you look at the competitive landscape and what other exhibitors are doing in converting their theaters, or some are building new ones, this business is changing completely. There's no question that the theatrical exhibition is evolving. 10 years ago, your only choice was 20 and 24 screen theaters with 4,000 seats, and frankly, there was really no point of differentiation. Most people didn't know whether they're going to a movie or an iPIC or a Regal or an AMC. We identified the theaters by their locations in general because everybody sold the same popcorn, frankly, and the focus was on selling movies. Today, our focus is selling the experience, and it's more comparable to hospitality industry. It's much more parallels, call it the hotel business. You have Ritz-Carlton, you have JW Marriott, and you have Hilton, and you have Holiday Inn. There's a market for every taste and every pocketbook. So when we talk about market share and our positioning, we're looking at people that are looking for a really very much of a relaxed night out. Most what other competitors are doing are still really focused on on what you see on the screen, and it's not about keeping you there about 4.5 hours, which is the average length of stay in our theaters. Again, for us, it's about creating an environment that you're going to come there, you're going to spend what you typically would have done in 2 different locations in one location.
I know there was a question from Monica Rose asking about franchising plans. We have no plans to franchise the concept on a couple of levels. One is execution. What we do is extremely difficult, and we build that talent over the course of the last decade. So we are going to control the operations of the company, and franchising is just probably too difficult to do just a one-off or two-off franchising. Financially, we think returns are better for the company, more EVA creation by investing our dollars at returns on capital significantly above our cost of capital. So we think the cumulative EVA dollars is also there. From a stock perspective, I know franchising fees are these royalty payments that come in and supplement your overall returns on capital because they don't obviously cost the company any capital to get, so they're infinity returning. We think of our supplemental income from membership, from sponsorship, and from co-branding as that really being our supplemental revenue streams that increase our returns on capital, very similar to royalty payments or franchising fees.
Question by Gloria Whitefield. Do you see the current model being sustainable for a lengthy period of time? Yes. I think this business model is really truly at its infancy. When you look at the landscape of, call it the dine-in theaters or luxury theater model, there are very few people that build specific builds. Most of what you're seeing is a conversion of existing theaters, and again, those are really not comparable to what we do. We believe, it's taken us a long time to perfect this model. While it's not new to us, we believe the country is wide open today for a real quality growth plan in the higher end of the dine-in theater and out-of-home entertainment experience.
Yeah, and to broaden the answer there, the entire market for one-stop shopping, eating, and entertainment experiences, again, whether it's Dave & Buster's playing a video game or playing golf at Top Golf as two corollaries, we love our entertainment vehicle. Sitting in an auditorium, watching a live or a celluloid experience on the screen, we can evolve that content. If content changes, we'll change the content. If you don't like certain movies, we'll change the type of movies, different live showings. So I think our form of entertainment in this one-stop shopping, 40,000 square foot facility business, we really like our being in the movie theater business or premium auditorium business, and the ability to alter our content based on consumer needs. And we'll do just a few more questions here, and we're going to do our best to get back to anybody. We have upwards of 400 questions, so we will try to get back to everyone's question one-on-one, but we'll maybe just wrap up with another question or two.
Sure. Let me see if there... Is there a new theater build growth roadmap? What is the expectation year over year in the new location? Again, we're looking to build 4 new locations a year. Our growth, we have basically, to this day, we've built in most of the major markets. We continue to put our first unit in major markets, but after that is really building around that first unit. We're building our second site in Dallas. We're building our third and fourth location in South Florida. We are building additional sites in Redmond, Washington. So it's really about, first step was, planting your first location in the major markets and not build around those sites.
That was a question from Patrick Sermus, talking about viewer capacity at your screens. I assume you're talking about seating utilization rates. Our utilization rates for our Premium Plus seats is almost 3 times the percentage of the industry average. We're north of 30% utilization. And again, that's every showing of every movie. So as you can imagine, and if you try to be a customer without being a paying member, we often sell out our prime shows, of course, every weekend and most weekdays. That's really the important issue, is in order to do what we do, you can only do 6 or 8 screens, you can only do 450 seats, and the key is that we get a lot of our demand during the weekday. We have 45% of our sales in the weekday and only 55% on the weekends. Most cinemas are about 80% on the weekends. That's really, really important to execute, because now we can have enough volume during the weekdays so we can hire the great chefs and talented people who come and work for us, because we can give them shifts throughout the weekday and deliver such world-class hospitality each and every time you come, no matter what day or the week or weekend you come. So it's really about consistent high utilization rates within our seats to make our facilities so unique.
Does the average spend amount include ticket purchases? So today our average spend is about $44 per person, and out of that, about $19 of it is ticket price, and about $25 food and beverage. What is the question by Dean Thomas? What is the lockout period for the investors? If I understand it correctly, the current investors that are basically founding members, they have a lockup period of 6 months, but the general investors that are investing at this stage, there's no lockup. You're free to trade any day. With that, we're running out of time allotted for us. We have a few more questions that we'll respond to everyone directly after this call. We thank you very much again for your time. Truly appreciate you spending the last hour and a half with us. And with that, we'll conclude our presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. This does conclude today's conference. We thank you for your participation. You may disconnect your lines at this time and have a wonderful day.